I'm Victor Sirens from Brothers Success Academy, and can you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now the Texas Pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Now everyone in silence.
Good evening, Superintendent Massey, Board President Mason Howard, board members, staff, and guests. Tonight, I have the pleasure of presenting our first recognition. At this time, I would like to ask Ms. Laura Morris, Principal of A.P. Boyle Elementary School, and Ms. Andrea Ham, Boyle's former Assistant Principal, to please join Mr. Massey at the stage. This past month, Governor Greg Abbott and the Texas Education Agency announced that A.P. Boyle Elementary School is one of only 26 in the state of Texas to be nominated as a 2021 National Blue Ribbon School. Boyle was last designated as a National Blue Ribbon School of Excellence in 2007. Boyle's return as a nominated National Blue Ribbon School is based on overall academic performance, the progress in closing achievement gaps among students of demographic groups. This prestigious nomination affirms the hard work of our Boyle educators, students, families, and community. Boyle has also worked continuously to create a safe and welcoming school where all students achieve at high levels while mastering challenging and engaging content. The National Blue Ribbon Schools program, initiated by the United States Department of Education in 1982, recognizes public and private elementary, middle, and high schools that have high student achievement and highlights where their exemplary progress has been made in closing the achievement gaps among students of demographic groups. Since the program's founding, only 9,000 schools across the nation have received this prestigious designation. National Blue Ribbon Schools are an inspiration and a model for schools achieving excellence. Awards will be announced in the fall of 2021, and we would like to congratulate A.P. Boyle on their nomination as a National Blue Ribbon School. And I know we've got some A.P. Boyle folks here. We would like to invite the teachers to come on up. Line up, A.P. Boyle. Brittany Rosenbaum, Executive Director of the Brazosport Education Foundation and Director of Audit Funding, to present the next two awards.
Good evening, President Howard, board members, and Mr. Massey. I am pleased to be here tonight for a very special recognition. But first, I would like to introduce to you Aaron Ennis, BISD Resource Development Coordinator. Aaron joined the BISD family in July of 2020 and hit the ground running. He helped to develop the framework for the CTE Major Giving Campaign and has worked tirelessly to network with industry leaders in the Brazosport area. He has added tremendous value to the BISD team in such a short period of time, and I cannot wait to see what the future holds. Please welcome Aaron Ennis to present this special recognition.
Thank you, Brittany. Henry Ford, the great entrepreneur and visionary that helped define a generation, once said, "Coming together is a beginning, staying together is progress, and working together is success." Tonight it is my pleasure to recognize the Dow Chemical Company for their $2.5 million contribution to the BISD CTE Major Giving Campaign. Through the years, the Brazosport Independent School District has called Dow a contributor, a sponsor, an investor, but most importantly, a partner. The mission and vision of this partnership has always been to grow and invest the next generation of diverse leaders and innovators while providing quality education and opportunities to students in our community. With this $2.5 million, BISD will be able to further enhance our career and technical education programs. Areas of enhancement will include, but not limited to, STEM, manufacturing, architecture and construction, information technology, and expanding our health science pathway offerings. All these pathway offerings are a valuable part of our community, and through Dow's partnership, BISD can continue to provide a valuable educated pipeline directly to our workforce community. With Dow's partnership, the future is bright for career and technical education at BISD. Through this partnership, we can assure that we not only provide our community and industry the much needed and talked about pipeline, but begin sustaining and building our first-class CTE program. BISD thanks Dow for their partnership and continued support. It is because of your organization we can build a brighter future for our students. Here tonight to accept this recognition from Dow is Rich Wells, Vice President of Operations U.S. Gulf Coast, and Gabrielle Lacombe, Public Affairs Manager, Dow Texas Operations. Please join us in showing our appreciation for their continued partnership and investment in our students.
Recognition this evening, I would like to ask our communications team to join Mr. Massey on stage. District Webmaster Amber Casey, District Communications Coordinator Tammy Sophia, District Volunteer Liaison Sharon Ritchie, and District Public Relations Administrator Carly Chrisman. The Texas School Public Relations Association recognizes outstanding communication practices and publications at their yearly state conference. BISD's communication team competes against school districts around the state with enrollments of $10,000 to $30,000. They compete against districts such as Pearland ISD, Duncanville ISD, Grapevine Colleyville ISD, Capel ISD, Lubbock ISD, and others. Again, our team set the standard in communications and public relations around the state by capturing 15 gold, 14 silver, and 2 bronze awards in the statewide competition. The team also earned 2 Best in Category award medals for a social media campaign, the Massey Challenge, which was very entertaining, and marketing video for BISD Foundation's Grants for Great Ideas Cash Caravan. Best of category recognitions are awarded for the entries that stand out from all the others in the same category, regardless of the division, for its exceptional creativity and quality. Despite the unpredictable circumstances brought about by the pandemic last year, BISD's communication and public relations team earned a total of 33 state awards, beating last year's record of 30 awards for publications and media communications produced during the 2019-2020 school year. Congratulations.
On behalf of BISD's communication team, we would like to thank all of our BISD students, outstanding schools, staff, departments, our BISD Education Foundation, our Board of Trustees, and Superintendent Massey for all the hard work and outstanding accomplishments that we have had the opportunity to share with the community. This award really belongs to all of us in the district. Thank you all for all your participation and help. Now I would like to ask Mr. Monty Berger, Chief Operations and Technology Officer, BISD's Maintenance and Operations Director Ken Schulte, and their team to please join Mr. Massey on the stage. BISD created the Extra Mile Award several years ago to recognize individuals or groups for their dedication to students and their willingness to go the extra mile for BISD. And it is my honor to recognize Mr. Schulte and our maintenance department custodial team, along with Mr. Berger, for doing just that, for going the extra mile for all of us during Snowmageddon, February's record-setting sub-freezing winter storm. BISD wishes to thank our maintenance and custodial team for their hard work and dedication in immediately addressing our district facility issues, some problems even before the storm had completely passed. Because of Mr. Schulte and his team of professionals, BISD was able to safely return to school the following Monday after the winter storm, ahead of many of our surrounding school districts. Thank you, Mr. Schulte, Mr. Berger, and our maintenance team. We are grateful. Our final recognition tonight is to acknowledge the hard work and dedication of our high school athletic trainers. I would like to ask Brazosport's trainer Gary Holler, along with Brazosport's trainers Mark Stevens, Beth Wilson, and Houston Pepper, to please join Mr. Massey on stage, along with Athletic Director Alan Waddell and high school athletic coordinators Mark Knives and Danny Youngs. Unfortunately, tonight, Ms. Campos will not be joining us. She is not well. has always been ahead of the game. As a matter of fact, back in 1952, the district recognized the importance of athletic trainers and was the first district in Texas to hire trainers for their high schools. And just 2 years ago, again, leading the team, recognizing the importance of having highly skilled professionals to work with our student athletes, the district added 2 more trainers to our staff, and this is money well spent. The men and women on this stage represent more than 65 years of experience in evaluating, diagnosing, documenting, educating, providing immediate care, coordinating treatment and rehabilitation for student athletes, and communicating with coaches, the athletes, and their parents. BISD's athletic trainers work long hours, weekdays and weekends, supporting all sports, all athletes, working tirelessly to ensure that our students are as healthy as possible to compete. During football season, they can be found in the field addressing a player's injury or on the sidelines helping a band student that has gotten overheated. They can be found in soccer games addressing a knee injury or a track meet wrapping ankles, and so much more. They are usually the first ones in the field house each morning, and more often than not, the last ones to leave each night. Mr. Holler, Mr. Stevens, Ms. Wilson, Mr. Pepper, on behalf of our BISD Board of Trustees, Superintendent Massey, your schools and your athletes, thank you for going the extra mile for our athletes and all students. Thank you very much. Thank you to those dedicated professionals. This does conclude tonight's awards and recognitions, but we are already looking forward to April with more examples of BISD setting the standard in educational excellence across the state. Thank you.
Next item that we have on the agenda tonight is audience of individuals in accordance with BDO. Provide an audience with individuals who have signed up prior to the meeting to address reports. We're not having a request to comment to the board, so we move on to the next item on our agenda. The next item is our consent agenda. Are there any items from the consent agenda requested? If not, it's been moved for approval by Mr. Shorter, seconded by Jerry. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those by nay. All right, that carries. Next item then that we have is our action items. First action item that we have is action item 7.1, approval of an order authorizing issuance of Brazosport Independent School District unlimited tax refunding bonds, Series 2012 and 2021A, setting certain parameters for the bonds. Public comments will be allowed before a vote is taken on each action item. Ms. Rebecca Kelly.
Good evening. The district, in accordance with in coordination with their financial advisor, U.S. Capital Advisors, has an opportunity to advance refund unlimited tax bonds that were issued in 2012. Tonight, I present for approval an order authorizing the issuance of Brazosport ISD unlimited tax refunding bonds Series 2021, setting certain parameters for the bonds and authorizing the pricing officer to approve the amounts and terms. Chapter 1207 of the Texas Government Code authorizes the Board of Trustees to issue refunding bonds to refinance any outstanding bonds of the district. As the economic feasibility of a refunding is dependent upon the interest rates, U.S. Capital Advisors has recommended the use of a placed at your board table. At this time, I'll turn it over to Louis Wilkes with U.S. Capital Advisors. And also here tonight is our legal counsel, Tom Sage. They'll go over the parameters of the sale and answer any related questions. Louis?
Ms. Kelly, Mr. President, members of the board, Mr. Massey, Louis Wilkes with U.S. Capital Advisors, glad to be with you tonight. We're here to discuss the refunding of your 2012 A and B bonds. Roughly about, in terms of the refunded bond amount, the number is $28,205,000. You've got a packet in front of you. I'll just go through that very quickly. The par amount that we're assuming right now to refund that amount is a little over $26,870,000. We're looking at present value savings, and we've updated the numbers just as the market has kind of sold off a little bit of late. We're looking at present value savings right now of just under $1 million, $994,000, and cash flow savings of $1,004,000. That is currently about 3.53% present value savings. You heard Ms. Kelly talk about a 2.5% minimum PV savings. You're paying roughly 2.96% on the bonds, and the current market's about 97 basis points. So that's generating the savings. There would be more savings, except these bonds, the final maturity is in 25. So we're only refinancing the last 4 years of this, but we're still able to capture about $1 million in present value savings. Just kind of going through the packet here, if you flip to the very last portion, page 9 is the timetable of events we've been working towards. If you approve the parameter bond sale tonight, we plan to price next week from Wednesday, so 9 days from today. So hopefully the market won't move much from where we are sitting today, and then close on April 29th. The last page in the packet, page 11, just is a party distribution list showing all the parties involved. You have done this many times, obviously, and it's the same group that has been working with you for the last several years. I'd be glad to answer any questions on this, and then turn it over to your bond counsel, Tom Sage. Any questions on the board?
I just remember when there was super pumped to get two. So it's unbelievable now.
It is unbelievable. We're trying to capture it as quick as we can.
That's all right. Any questions from the audience?
I'll turn it over to Mr. Sage.
All right.
Good evening, Tom Sage, my name is Treasurer Bond Counsel. I will be blessedly brief. We prepared an order for your consideration that captures the transaction that Mr. Wilkes laid out for you and authorizes us to go forward, price the bonds next week, and deliver funds to the district on April the 29th after they take it through the Attorney General's review process. Happy to answer any questions on the order or on the process. I know this is your first rodeo, so you didn't show up tonight to listen to a lawyer talk to you, so I'll know that.
Any questions? Audience? All right, thank you. Ms. Kelly?
So I do have a recommendation that the Board of Trustees adopt an order authorizing the issuance of Brazosport Independent School District Unlimited Tax Refunding Bonds, Series 2021, and that the superintendent and CFO be authorized to approve the amount, the interest rate, the price, including terms thereof, and certain other procedures to process the order.
All right, we do have a motion before us. Mr. Reinhardt moves to approve. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Cuellar. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed by nay. All right, that carries. Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Kelly.
you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Next item we have under our action item 7.2, the guaranteed maximum price for the summer 2021 bond projects. Ms. Kelly.
In accordance with board policy CB Legal, it is my pleasure to present an approval for the guaranteed maximum price for Phase 1 of the 2019 bond projects that will be constructed during the summer of 21. The district's construction manager at Bristol has assisted the district's architect BOK with developing the construction documents for the summer 2021 projects. The project scope will include athletic improvements at and reconfigure the CTE culinary lab and the art classroom. The construction of the satellite transportation bus parking lot that will be on the west side of the Freeport Intermediate campus / football field closest to the highway. And then also facility renovations and improvements at Clute Intermediate School will include the construction of the additional stacking lanes for pickup and drop-off, additional security lighting, demolition of the old shop building, and a new stage curtain. There will also be facility renovations and improvements at Lake Jackson Intermediate School to include security lighting and the interior reconfiguration of the CTE culinary and Project Lead the Way labs. And then at Boydell Elementary, we'll be applying the vinyl wall coverings in the classrooms and the hallway areas. Due to the wide range of scope and longer lead times for certain items, the summer 2021 projects have been split into 2 bid phases. Dermala Construction received bids on February 24th for the field lighting, press box, bleachers, and scoreboard at Freeport Intermediate School. The press box will be 8 feet by 12 feet. The bleachers on the home side will accommodate 205 fans, and the visitor side will accommodate 110. The remaining items will be included in Phase 2, which will be received on March 30th and presented for Board of Approval in April. The district's construction manager at Rich Dermala Construction has provided a guaranteed maximum price of $401,892. The budget to actual cost analysis is provided and presented on the screen. The project budget for the press box, bleachers, lighting, and scoreboard was $288,000. The GMP is $401,892 and is well below the budget. However, these dollars will likely be used in the scope of Phase 2, as several of those items are coming in over the bond planning estimates. At this time, administration recommends the Board of Trustees approve the guaranteed maximum price for Dermala Construction for Phase 1 of the summer 21 bond projects as presented. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions on the board? Audience? All right, and we have a recommendation from the board. Do I hear a motion to approve? Moved by Mr. Scorner, seconded by Mr. Reinhardt. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed by nay. That carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly. Next item that we have on our action item list is 7.3, the board resolution for employees' compensation and disaster relief due to inclement weather. Ms. Christian Kirsten.
Good evening. In accordance with Board Policy DEA Local and District Goal, BISD will recruit, develop, and retain highly effective staff. It is my pleasure to present administration's recommendation regarding employee compensation during the recent winter storms. Chapter 45 of the Texas Education Code describes authorized expenditures for Texas school districts. Section 45.105C of the Texas Education Code states that local school funds may be used for purposes necessary in the conduct of public schools determined by the Board of Trustees. The Texas Education Code in Section 21.401C provides that if the commissioner reduces the number of days in accordance with Section 25.01B, such reduction will not result in the reduction of an educator's salary. This proposed resolution provides that the Brazosport ISD Board of Trustees finds that a public purpose exists to pay employees for days missed as a result of the February winter storms, and that such payments are necessary in the conduct of public schools in accordance with the Texas Education Code. It is further proposed that Brazosport ISD will compensate any non-exempt employee who is required to report to duty during the closure, which was Monday, February 15th through Friday, February 19th, 2021, at their regular rate of pay. In addition to the pay all employees will receive for a maximum of a double time rate during this closure. The administration recommends that the Board of Trustees approve the employee compensation resolution as presented. At this time, I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions? No, yes. All right. We item that we have under action item 7.4, the Bisd school day waivers. Mr. Ron Redden.
Good evening. In accordance with board policy EB Legal and in alignment with district goal, Brazosport ISD will provide a rigorous and relevant learning experience to ensure that every student will be future ready. I'm requesting that the Board of Trustees approve a missed school days waiver for the days missed as a result of Winter Storm Uri and the infrastructural issues that followed. As a result of Winter Storm Uri and the infrastructure issues, Brazosport ISD schools were closed from Tuesday, February 16th through Friday, February 19th, 2021. The Texas Education Agency issued guidance prior to the storm and in the days following it that districts who experienced infrastructure issues because of outages and related impacts that prevented it from providing remote instruction could close completely. BISD campuses, staff, and children's families experienced multiple infrastructure issues, including lost electricity and no water for several days, and damage as a result of broken pipes. The infrastructure issues prevented the providing of remote instruction to district students. It is the administration's recommendation that the Board of Trustees approve submitting a missed school days waiver to TEA for February 16th through 19th, 2021 due to infrastructure issues resulting from the impacts of Winter Storm Uri. At this time, I'd be happy to answer any clarifying questions you may have.
Any questions, Mr. Redden?
Can we go one meeting without doing this thing?
What's that?
Can we go one meeting without doing this?
Yes, sir.
I move for approval.
It's been moved by Mr. Schwartner and seconded by Mr. Reinhardt. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by nay. That carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
It's not a hurricane.
Yeah, it's a winter storm, pandemic, or something.
That's our last item under the action items. Next item on our agenda are reports. Public comments will be allowed on each report. The first one we have about one with the bond planning and construction update. Mr. Allen.
Good evening. The following is in accordance with Board Policy CB Local. It is my pleasure to present a planning and construction update for the 2014 and 2019 bond projects. 2014 bond projects are 83.11% completed, and 2019 bond projects are 52.74% completed or in progress. The 2014 and 2019 bond construction project timelines are presented here. These projects represent current construction projects and future projects that are now in the design phases. The certificate of occupancies have been received for both Brandon and Roberts. GMP for Beadwood Phase 4 Athletics and District-Wide Technology Center will come to the board in April for approval. The Freeport Intermediate School Athletics and Summer projects will come to the board in May for approval. The Stephen F. Austin project will come to the board for approval in May. And once we get these projects board approved, we will then begin design development on Brazosport High School projects. This is an aerial view of the CTE building. This was taken approximately 2 weeks ago. As previously recognized tonight for their $2.5 million contribution towards CTE Major Giving Campaign, the Dow Diamond logo will be placed on the exterior of the new Beadwood CTE Center, as well as the new Newport CTE Center. Freeport LNG has also announced a $1 million contribution, so their logo will also be placed at both campuses under the Dow logo. There is a third spot available, and Mr. Ennis is working to secure that spot as well. This is a view from the second floor looking down into the main corridor with the culinary area to the right. This is in the bistro that's primarily showing the back wall and the ceiling that is being installed. This is the culinary lab. This is the vet tech lab. This is at the advanced building. It's a little bit dark there. You see the booth that is really looking very exterior of the building and their outdoor areas outside of each shop. This is aerial view of the main campus. And this is a view standing on the second floor looking at the front entry. This is standing on the third floor looking out towards the classrooms and fine arts and auditorium areas. This is standing outside looking into the entry of the auditorium. This is standing in the corridor at the life skills, with the life skills classrooms on either side. This is standing in the theater lobby looking towards the band areas. This is in the main street looking at the back of the Black Box Theater walls. This is standing at the back stage looking at the auditorium. This photograph shows the gym floor and gym B that is currently being installed. Phase 4 athletic improvements. Baseball improvements included in Phase 4 B-Wood projects include press box replacement, the addition of sub-varsity locker room, and originally a canopy structure to cover the bleachers. VLK conducted a sun study for the canopy addition and found it to create safety concerns. This slide shows the sun study for the canopy addition of the baseball field. You can see that at 6 p.m. the canopy structure would create shade in the field of play. Athletic Director Alan Waddell and the head baseball coach have indicated that the safety concerns make it infeasible to proceed with such a structure. These funds will be held back for reallocation of future needs for the baseball program. Also in Phase 4 improvements is the softball improvements include the addition of the restroom, concessions and storage, replacement of the press box, bleacher expansion, and originally a structure to cover the bleachers. After the sun study was conducted, like baseball, the cover structure has been removed from the scope of the project. This slide shows the sun study at the softball field. Head coach Altman has similar safety concerns with the shade the structure would cause on the field during regular play time. These funds will be back for reallocation. These funds will be held back for reallocation of future needs of the softball program. Current identified needs that will be included in the bid as proposed alternates include the addition of additional seating capacity to 721 and covered batting cages. Phase 4 includes a locker room and storage facility on the existing site of the tennis courts. And the summer 21 renovations, the summer 21 package will include Freeport Intermediate athletics package. The Phase 1 guaranteed maximum price was approved earlier this evening. Phase 1 included earlier bid items for press box, bleachers, lighting, and scoreboard. Additional scope will include the new restroom facility, concession stand, goal post, and additionals and a sound system. It will be used for the existing 4-lane track was repaired in 2018 and is still in good condition. It will be used for the 2021 school year, and the funding for a new 6-lane running track will be reevaluated. Early estimates were coming in around $600,000 to $800,000, which is significantly over budget. The existing track can be utilized until a decision is made on how to proceed. The new satellite bus parking lot will be located on the west side of the Freeport Intermediate track and have parking for 22 buses. Utilities will be prepped for when the current transportation portable can be relocated to that site. Also included in the summer project is the addition of a double stacking lane including intermediate. The traffic study has been completed and the current proposed location is to the east side of the campus. The old shop building will be demolished to make room for this stacking lane. The entrance and exit will be off of Main Street. Preliminary meetings have been held with the City of Blue
means?
The intermediate track.
No, the stack. So we're coming off Main Street between the old gym and the transition center, is that correct? One behind. So get rid of the old shop. So, is there any plans to, do away with the pickup on Shanks?
Yes.
Okay, so there won't be a pickup on Shanks?
That'll be bus and daycare.
Okay, good. All right, that's what I need to know. Thanks.
That should greatly relieve the issue that's happening on the main road.
Well, it's not a problem. You can get through it. It's back there on the street.
Right.
As a former police chief.
Any other questions?
Sorry, did you mention on the seating capacity of the softball field? Is that what you were talking about? How much we're increasing it, or was that not? Maybe I misunderstood.
Reallocating the fund.
Do we know what the new seating capacity at the softball complex would?
The 721 is what was going out for bid for the
And what are we right now?
500.
Okay, so
Any other questions?
Unless we bring in temporary for playoffs.
That's what we were, that was the intent to expand the seat capacity, because as you know, when we have playoff games, we've got to bring in temporary, and so, we'll add a little over 200 seats there.
All right, there are no other questions. Thank you, Mr. Ellis. Next item that we have under our reports is section 9.2, the budget process and calendar. Ms. Kelly? My favorite part.
Tonight, we officially kick off the budget development season of the 2021 school year, or excuse me, the 21-22 school year. And it's my pleasure to provide a report on the budget development process and the calendar that the district will utilize to ensure that we meet the deadline for adopting the 21-22 budget. I'll also share a brief update on the current year budget, as well as the updated 5-year revenue projections. The general fund budget is one of the most important legal documents that a school board is required to approve annually. Board Policy CE and Texas Education Code Sections 44.002 through 006 outline the legal requirements for adopting the budget. The budget must be prepared in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles and in compliance with all state and local requirements. Our fiscal year is September 1st through August 31st. Therefore, the budget must be prepared by August 20th of each year. The proposed budget and actual expenditures for the same purpose in the preceding year must be published in the newspaper. And when the budget has been prepared, the board president must call a board meeting to discuss the proposed budget and tax rate and publish the meeting notice in the paper. The budget must be adopted before the adoption of the tax rate. It can be done at the same meeting, which we have historically done and plan to do again this year. The budget must be adopted by August 31st. The budget adoption will include the general fund, the child nutrition fund, and the debt service fund. The budget is filed annually with TEA through the fall PD submission, and no funds may be expended other than for provided for by the functional category within the budget. The board may amend the budget as necessary. Budget planning is a comprehensive process and as such requires the work of the school board, the superintendent, district and campus administrators, as well as campus site-based committees. Our budget development process includes key components of a zero-based budget program budget process. We start with our guiding principles survey, which helps set the priority levels for the allocation of funds. You will receive an email later this week for the survey for this year. The campus conducts their needs assessment and develops improvement strategies. They identify costs associated with each of those improvement strategies, as well as solicit budgetary requests from grade level and/or department chairs. Principals evaluate all requests to determine criticality of need and the relationship to the achievement of a curriculum effectiveness. They identify possible funding sources to maximize all resources available, and they share it with their campus improvement committee. If additional funds are needed, then they can submit an additional budget request. That request for additional funds gets prioritized with all other budget assumptions for the 22 budget year. We will utilize the following budget calendar to ensure that we meet the deadline for adopting the budget. I've highlighted in gray the areas that pertain to you as a school board. Today is March 15th, and we're reviewing the budget process, and the guiding principle survey will be distributed later this week. Then at the April board meeting, I'll provide a report of the results of that survey. Ms. Kirshner will provide the results of the annual TASB compensation study. And then in alignment with the superintendent goals, Ms. Kirshner and I have been working with TASB to complete a staffing audit of both campus and district level positions compared to peer districts. The results of that audit will be presented to the board in May. And then I expect to receive preliminary values from the appraisal district May 21st. The compensation plan will be presented in June for board approval, along with the budget development update. The preliminary budget will be prepared by the regular July board meeting, and the board workshop will be conducted on August 2nd. And then the budget and tax rate will be adopted at the regular August board meeting. Before we move into revenue projections for next year, I'll take a minute to provide an update on the current year. The state did approve the extension of the funding hold harmless through the end of this school year. The rules surrounding the extension place an emphasis on on-campus instruction. To be eligible, a district must have an average on-campus attendance participation rate for the six weeks of 80%, or at least a rate that's as high as the percentage reported in the October snapshot. Brazosport ISD exceeds the 80%. We're currently at 83%. So we will be eligible for the hold harmless for the entire year. The projections presented here show the impacts of revenue with, which is without, which is column 3, and then with, which is column 4, the hold harmless. So the difference between column 3 and 4 is about $4.4 million. And that funding would have otherwise been lost had the state not approved the hold harmless this year. We did have an adopted deficit of about $4.6 million, and that's still an accurate estimate of the deficit projected for the end of this 21 budget year. Looking forward to 2022 through 2025, Brazosport ISD will have less available revenue, and we'll need to make some adjustments to balance the budget. Going into this legislative session, there were concerns on the state's ability to sustain funding levels from House Bill 3, but after the comptroller released his budget estimates and the state's anticipated use of the stimulus funding that it will receive from the federal government, the uncertainty around their ability to sustain House Bill 3 funding levels has been somewhat eased. There is still some significant uncertainty in the supplemental funding payments that we receive tied to our 313 agreements. The provisions of the 313 tax code are set to expire and will require legislative action this session. There have been bills filed that extend the current provisions of the agreement, and then there's been one that is filed that will end the benefits of these agreements to school districts. With the assumption that the current provisions will be extended, there is still uncertainty in the calculation of these amounts as the individual projects, those values don't get set until mid-July. And so I do know for certain that the amount that we receive will be less than the current year. I just don't have solid estimates at this time. So lastly, state funding formulas for public schools are based on average daily attendance of students enrolled. Our enrollment is down over 1,000 students since 2013. And so this chart shows student enrollment on the orange line from 2011 through 2020. Enrollment is down another 750 students in this current year. Of that, 40% is in the early elementary grades, pre-K and K. We do anticipate seeing some of that enrollment return to normal levels as COVID relief is provided through increased availability of the vaccine. So the blue line is the number of teacher positions and FTEs, which is the full-time equivalent positions that we've added. Since 2013, we have added over 115 teacher positions. Ms. Kirshner and I, along with the campus cabinet level supervisor, have met with each of the campuses to evaluate staffing needs based on enrollment and current staffing ratios. The 2022 budget assumption document will be used again to track the changes to budgeted revenues and expenditures compared to the adopted 21 budget. presented as a summary of the identified changes. Revenue changes are reflected here based on the projected funding formulas from the previous slide. Interest rates are also low, and while that's good for bond issuances and refunding, low rates also impact revenue earned on general fund reserves. So there's an additional decrease in available revenue projected here for interest earnings. And then as previously mentioned, Ms. Kirshner and I, along with the campus level cabinet supervisors, have met with each of those campuses to evaluate staffing needs based on enrollment and current staffing ratios. We've also met with some department directors to evaluate staffing needs based on those program supports. We have identified potential reductions of $4.8 million. It is our intent to obtain these reductions through attrition. We will also review the results of the staffing audit and the potential budgetary impacts of the audit. We will provide more with continued updates as we move along the next few months. Another reduction is the $2,150,000 that was included in the 2021 budget for a one-time compensation increase. We have identified net reductions so far of $6.7 million. So based on current revenue projections and budgeted contingencies, we would have an adopted deficit at this point of $5.8 million. We do have over $49 million in unassigned fund balance, with TEA's optimum fund balance at just under $38 million. So we're still very early on in the budget development process. We know that we're going to have to make some adjustments to the budget. We know we're in a strong financial position, and we'll continue to make decisions that exercise fiscal responsibility to ensure our financial strength. At this time, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Just for clarification, I know the graphic we represented, but we don't have more teachers than students that we in office.
No, it just shows the
It's two different
trend.
graphs.
It's a percentage trend, and they overlay so you can see as enrollment has declined, so they added teacher. No, our average student to teacher ratio is 14 to 1.
Any questions from the board or from the floor? All right.
Thank y'all.
Next item on the reports is board committee reports. Any board members who have committee reports?
Mr. Howard, I would
Sorry, Mr. Kennedy.
Yeah, no, I would just say, what a difference a year makes. And it's been pretty enjoyable to go around and see our athletes and our families yelling and cheering outdoors. It's really kind of a breath of fresh air, so to speak. But I'm glad we recognized our training staff tonight. I think overall what I'm noticing is the coaches, the kids, the parents, everybody's doing what we ask them to do and showing that we can keep them enjoying what they're working so hard. So, keep up the good work.
Jerry?
I can't believe it's all around already, but the call for the advocacy resolutions are due June 15th, so we'll be in the fall to put the 2022 to 2024 together. So we'll be thinking about that for the want to push for it. And I was able to listen in on the NASDAQ legislative conference. It wasn't that good, but you did hear some information. I don't know if you guys had a chance to listen in, but had a lot of interviews with legislators. So it was kind of entertaining. I did get an email today that you didn't get on board to a little bit of info, so I'll forward it to you when I get back. Other than that, that's it.
All right. Mr. Brennan? Our next regular scheduled board meeting is April 19th. Next item that we have on our agenda is executive session, which we're not going to have. So unless there is any exception,